If you ever tried to pitch your company news or a story to journalists and got no replies and zero media coverage, then this video is for you. I will explain you why this is happening and provide you with 5 types of news content that journalists actually care about. And then I will give you our step-by-step process on how to earn media coverage. Now, stick around until the end of this video because I will also share my PR decision flowchart and pitching checklist that you can download. It will help you decide if your news is really qualified for the media coverage and show you exactly what and how to prepare before you start pitching. Now, let's start with the ugly truth. Thing is that majority of press releases and journal speeches get ignored. And it's not because there's something wrong with your company or your story. It's just because journalists don't cover just anything and everything, if that makes sense. Every news website has its own editorial policy or guidelines about what they consider newsworthy and where they focus. Also, every journalist has what's called a beat. A journalist beat is a specific subject area or geographic region or type of news that they cover and report on. And if your story doesn't fit their beat, it doesn't matter how great your news is, they will simply ignore your email and you will not get the media coverage. Now, a big mistake I see all the time, and I have this conversation with practically every new client, is assuming that your product launch is automatically good news for the media. Sorry, it isn't. Now, I get it. When you launch something you worked on for months, you are excited and you think everyone else will be just as excited. But here is the ugly truth. Unless you're Apple or Microsoft, a product launch by itself is almost never going to make headlines. Those big brands are exceptions because the brand itself is the story. If Apple sneezes, it's news. If you or I launch something, it is not, unless we tie it to something bigger, like a fresh market report, industry data, a white paper, or trending issue people are already talking about. So, what kind of content is actually newsworthy? Here are 5 types of news content that journalists actually publish. Number 1 stands for industry research and data-driven stories. This is when you discover something interesting from your own data, run a survey, or create rating or benchmark. Thing is that journalists like clear numbers they can quote, especially if they are fresh and specific. For example, we analyzed search trend for AI services in hospitality and saw 200% increase this quarter. Very simple, straight to the point, fresh data, trending topic. That's it. Second is human interest stories. Now, these focus on people rather than product, but they highlight personal journeys, community transformations, or challenges that have been overcome. While this type of content is generally not relevant for most businesses or B2B coverage, journalists enjoy these narratives and they often create strong emotional connections. Number 3. Seasonal and calendar-based stories. Thing is, newsrooms plan their coverage around major events, holidays, and market cycles. Some outlets publish their editorial calendars publicly, while others keep them internal. For example, the FinTech Times, UK's largest fintech news media outlet, publishes their editorial calendar online, and you can check it out on their website. And if you connect your story to something that is already on their calendar, your chances of media coverage go way up. Number 4 is thought leadership and expert commentary. This is when you explain something important that is happening right now in your space, in your industry. It works best if you have real expertise and evidence to support it, such as white paper, case study, or customer data. And if you are not yet a recognized voice in your industry, honestly, your chances of being quoted are quite low. but you can't improve them by backing your insights with fresh data you might have. Number 5 and final is crisis response and trend analysis. For example, when something happens in your industry, journalists often look for experts who can comment on the situation or provide valuable input. And this is your chance to earn media coverage. And to do this, you need to monitor this kind of requests and use specialized services or agency that help you keep track of them. The important part here is to be quick and precise. Give the journalists exactly what they need and only comment on matters where you are too expert or have a fresh data to support your input. Now, when you know what's actually newsworthy, let me show you our step-by-step process we use to earn media coverage every time. First things first, you need to decide which media outlets you want to target. And please, if you are just starting with PR, do not set your sights on the Wall Street Journal or Financial Times right away. That's not going to happen. You will not earn media coverage from Tier 1 publications at that stage. Instead, if you are a business, focus on media that specializes in your industry. For example, if you are a fintech company, look for fintech-focused outlets. That gives you much higher chances of success compared to chasing Tier 1 media when have no brand awareness at all. Another smart tactic is to aim for local news websites if you have achieved something significant on the international stage. Thinking is that local outlets are usually very proud to cover stories about people or businesses from their community, and that's the media opportunity you must use. Next, look for journalists who actually write about stories that match yours. And please, just because a website says that journalist covers business does not mean your story will fit their beat. You need to find journalists whose past work clearly aligns what you are pitching right now. For example, if a journalist mainly covers business acquisitions or market movements, they will not be interested in your new industry study because it simply doesn't match their beat. If you are pitching a new industry study or a report, look for journalists who regularly cover new numbers, reports, or white papers within your industry specifically. Number 3. Prepare your press release and other assets in advance. I have already covered how to write a proper press release in another video, and I will leave the link in the description below, so I will not go through it again here. What matters is that before you start pitching, you prepare all your materials in advance, such as the press release, your infographics, and other supporting materials. And remember, never hide valuable insights or key takeaways behind a link or in a PDF file. Doing that will only increase the chances of your email being ignored. So, once we have a story that qualifies, the next big step is pitching it the right way. Think of it as one strategy with 2 possible approaches. And the first approach is pitching not only to the individual journalists, but also to the editorial teams. This works very well because editorial teams are always on the lookout for relevant stories they can quickly publish, and your chances of being picked up increase when your story fits their coverage area. For example, if you are a fintech company in the UK, there is a media outlet that covers UK-related fintech news. You can pitch your story directly to their editorial email. And to do that, go to their website, check the Contact Us section, and look for the editorial or new submission email, which is usually listed there. When writing to an editorial inbox, you can keep your message very simple because it will be sent to undisclosed recipients and will not be personalized. As for the subject line, in that specific case, you don't need to keep it short. Focus on including key takeaways, the biggest fact, or the most valuable number from your industry in the subject line. Including your company name is optional, and my general advice here is that if you are well known in your industry, you include it, and if you are a newcomer, you don't. As simple as that. The email body should have 2 parts, the opening line and the press release itself. In the opening line, state what you did and why it matters to the industry, and repeat the main takeaway from the subject line. The rest of the email should be simply copy of your press release, and that's enough. You don't need to add anything else when pitching to the editorial inbox, because editorial teams usually do not like follow-ups and often send automated messages asking not to send them. And my personal tactic here is to resend the story a few days later with a different subject line and slightly different opening line so that it looks like a new story and completely new email. Now, let's assume you found the right journalist and you've got the email. Here is the rule: reduce friction. Make it ridiculously easy for a journalist to understand your story from the subject line and the first sentence of the email. Put the key number or claim right up top, and don't hide it in a PDF press release or make them click around your website. Here is an example of strong yet effective subject line: hospitality plus AI surged amount up 300% this year. That's it. You don't need to mention your company, place into slogans, or anything else basically. Journalists instantly see the most important thing, the data. Everything else is secondary. Or here is another approach with relation to journalists' previous work. So your Cyber Monday fraud piece. New payment data you can use. In that case, you show the journalist you have valuable input based on what he previously covered. In the email body, keep it short, clear, and personal. First, show that you know the journalist by referencing their password or connecting your story to something they have already covered. Second, give the key takeaway or main data right away so they see the value instantly. Third, include a link to the full findings or supporting assets so they can access everything quickly and whenever they want. Finally, close by offering your expert inputs, whether it's a quote or an interview or 10 recommendary they can use. And here is a quick example you can adopt. Hi Sarah, I saw your Cyber Monday fraud article. We analyzed checkout data across meat market retailers and found that attempted payment fraud jumped 240% on Cyber Monday compared to regular Mondays. I've attached full press release for you to use. If this helps, I would be happy to arrange commentary from our payment expert specifically for your outlet. Let me know if that works. That's it. As you can see, the message is very direct, shows familiarity with the journalist, and instantly provides valuable input they can use. Everything else in the pitch is irrelevant at this stage and can come later, such as additional data, clarifications, or expert input. And to wrap this up, let me walk you through my PR decision flowchart and pitching checklist, which you can download from the link in the description below. This is the exact framework I use with my clients before sending anything out. First, run your story or news through the PR decision flowchart. Go step by step and ask, is this story actually qualified for the media coverage? Would journalists really care about it? Does it benefit his readers? The flowchart guides you through these questions and helps you make adjustments along the way. Only when you reach the final box, your story is truly pitch ready. Once your story passes the flowchart, go through the pitching checklist before you hit send email button. You want to make sure you have the right outlet and the right journalist whose beat matches your story. Check that your subject line is built around the key takeaway and not the hype or empty slogans. And have a resend or a follow-up plan ready in case you don't get a reply. Only when you can check every box, you should start pitching your story. This structure gives you confidence, saves your time, and dramatically increases your odds of earning media coverage for your company. Download the PR decision flowchart and pitching checklist using the link in the description below. And if you want a custom PR plan tailored to your PR goals, book a re-strategy call with me using the link below. Do not forget to like and subscribe, as it really means a lot to me. Thanks for watching.